Tensions with Russia are reaching all the way into space. Government officials there recently threatened to deorbit the International Space Station shortly after the invasion of Ukraine began. Since then, things have deteriorated further. Joining me now with more is co-director of the Outer Space Institute, Michael Byers. Good morning, Michael.
Good morning.
Michael, first of all, for those that don't know and haven't followed this as closely, tell us in what ways the International Space Station is currently reliant on Russian support and cooperation.
Well, the International Space Station is a joint venture between Russia and Western countries, including Canada. It's been in orbit for 23 years. It's been permanently occupied for 21 years. And there are modules from Russia, the United States, from Europe, from Japan, that are joined together and support each other. They literally cannot operate unless they are joined together. The American module provides life support. The Russian module provides propulsion that keeps the station in orbit. It's always crewed by a combination of Russian cosmonauts and Western astronauts who work together like a team. So it's a tricky situation for everyone involved. If cooperation with Russia were to break down, we could potentially lose the station, which is the most important and expensive piece of equipment ever built by humankind.
Again, so the implications clearly far-reaching here as we talk about that. Is that propulsion, you talk about the Russians and their module being responsible for propulsion, is that the main action that they could disrupt operations as they threaten to deorbit it?
Yes. If they wanted to cause major problems, they would stop providing propulsion to the station. The good news is that last week there was a scheduled boost using Russian equipment, and the Russians did what they had committed to do. The station was boosted by a Russian supporting spacecraft. So far, so good. The other interesting news is that on March 30th, an American astronaut is due to return to Earth on a Russian Soyuz capsule, due to return to Kazakhstan. I thought that he would stay on the station until he could come home on an American capsule, but NASA has just announced that their plan is for him to come down on the Soyuz capsule, that everything is going according to the previous plan.
Okay, so positive development, I think, when it comes to that, because there were concerns that he was going to have to be left behind, like you mentioned, for an American capsule. I'm curious, too, because China, we talked about China's role in Ukraine a little bit earlier, but China and Russia, seem to be laying out this plan that their cooperation could distance themselves from Western countries. What does that mean for countries like Canada? Because NASA controls a lot of what's happening from a U.S. perspective, but Canada's role in the ISS, what would it mean?
Well, we provide the Canada arm, the robotic arm that enables so much to happen, especially in terms of maintenance of the station. China is not a partner on the ISS. China is building its own space station. And one could imagine a scenario in a couple of years' time where Russia did decide to pull out of the International Space Station and to partner with China in its new station. But we're not there yet. And right now it looks like Russia and Western countries will continue to cooperate in the one place they really have to cooperate, the International Space Station.
I'm curious if that changes now, Michael, too. If we get to the point, because we know when we found out earlier this year that the ISS is going to be down by 2030. They're going to crash it into the Pacific Ocean, and it's going to be the end of the ISS. Not that we want to speed that up because that's still 8 years away. But if you lose a partner like Russia, could plans like that change, and could we see that happen sooner?
Well, I can tell you that a couple of American space companies, Northrop Grumman, SpaceX, are trying to figure out whether they can boost the station using their spacecraft. Right now, that looks difficult. They need the control provided by having that Russian spacecraft involved in that work. And certainly there is a plan to move away from the space station to deorbit it, as you say. But we'll need a replacement because the International Space Station is this incredibly important laboratory in orbit. We can do, for instance, cancer science in terms of research on the station that we can't do anywhere else. It's absolutely essential to science and especially to medical science. So we'll have to come up with a replacement. But right now, it's the only game in town, and the only way that the station can operate is if the West and Russia work together. It's the one place we still need to cooperate.
It's fascinating, and again, the implications of what's happening in Ukraine and how far-reaching it's going. Michael Byers, thank you for this morning.
You're most welcome. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.